JB here. May 25th, 2022. Going to be really quick. We have about 14 minutes, 13 minutes to the open. Don't have too much to talk about. I haven't done any trades the start to week, Monday, Tuesday. Here we are on Wednesday. Um, yeah, interesting times. We get the Fed minutes at 2 o'clock today, so that'll be something to watch. And we also, some big earnings after the close. Snow, SPLK, NVIDIA. So considering what's happened the past 2 weeks with retailers kind of showing signs of you know inflation taking a hit, things like that, certainly names to watch, especially because the tech space, which has been just obliterated. I put it on a watch list this morning. It's a tough environment, and Pinto posted sometime, I don't know, mid afternoon yesterday. Google was off nearly 7% in the morning, and most of the puts were barely up over 100%. And I should take that with a grain of salt. Obviously, if you can get 100% return on an option, that's great, but the risk reward is not there. You would have to have entered the put position the day before, pay a hefty premium, and then even despite it moving down over 7%, you're only making 100%. And the risk is if stock went the other way, or we stay stagnant, or it doesn't drop, the premiums are just going to erode as the days continue into the end of the week. So makes it a tougher environment to trade, especially on the put side. A lot of these names are so expensive. I was looking at Melicabra, ticker MELI, even AutoZone. All these names, if you try and get some type of put hedge for continued downside, the risk of paying $10 or $12 for a contract that is 10% out of the money with 3 days left to expiration, with no real catalyst to speak of. There's no earnings, things like that. It just doesn't make sense for me when I look to trade. So for me, I like to look for, in this environment, I would look for some serious out of the money strikes, maybe on the call side for a possible reversal and squeeze, especially on some of these beaten up names. I put on the watch list, or at least I've had ROKU on the watch list for the last 2 weeks, but a name like ROKU, a name like U, which, I mean, surprisingly still remains down here in the 34, 35 range. But those are names I'd be watching for possible speculative out of the money call strikes that the risk reward makes sense to me. Roku is still kind of pricey because if you take a look at the strikes, you have to go up into the 90s. But I mean, it was just a 90, and it sold off not because of concerns around Roku's business, but because concern around the ad space in general. But if people they're streaming, and to me, even if people are cutting back on expenses, they're going to cut back on buying packaged cable service. They're going to continue to do a la carte, and if a la carte is the way that people are going to go, Roku's going to benefit from that. So I don't understand. It's kind of like it's the baby out with the bathwater, they say. So I get why it was down, but to me, I think it's an opportunity for upside. But maybe the 90 strikes today, those are 50 cents. They'll probably open in the 40s. I might look for those to play for some speculative upside moves. All right, so that's that on. Yeah. So ULTA. So ULTA last week, I was able to get some 330 puts, closed out. I guess 800% on one strike, 200% on another, and then closed the last out on Friday. Went and added those 280 puts for earnings. They report earnings on Thursday. The risk reward there is getting tough now. I was hoping for some premium build if it broke under 340. I thought there would be a bigger acceleration to the downside. It got down to 330 at 11 o'clock, well, 10:15 or so yesterday before bouncing. If it finds support here today, you had Deutsche Bank maintain their buy on ULTA. They lowered their price target, but from 520 to 466, 522 to 466. Not sure if that's going to really put a spark in the stock, and it's going to go bonkers considering Dick's reported disappointing guidance this morning, adding kind of to the whole backdrop of this retailer situation where all these retailers are starting to see the impacts of inflation and logistics and lower margins and all the other things that everybody's talking about. But I guess there's data out too that it looks like people are traffic in some of these beauty outlets is up. But then on the flip side, you had Target earnings, and Target partnered with, is it Sephora? I think it's Sephora, right? So ULTA's in some of these Target locations. Maybe that's kind of just a sign. So I'm not going to sit here and hold the puts into earnings. So I'll probably close them either today or tomorrow before they report after the close. That's ULTA. IBM, take a look at IBM. So frustrating. Last week it was looking great. Then into the end of the week it sells off, breaks under 130, destroys my June calls, and then yesterday, Monday and Tuesday, goes on a 2-day rally despite the market weakness. Yesterday the stocks nearly closed up. Let's see, where'd it go? Wasn't near 135. 134.25 was the highs right before the close. If that gets over 135 today, I'll look for some July strikes. Considering some of these other tech names that have been destroyed, to see the NASDAQ down over 2% and IBM up 2% kind of tells me maybe there's some kind of rotation out of some of these, the tech names that have been destroyed. Maybe IBM's going to continue to benefit from that. That's that on IBM. BPT, that 1720 handle, 52-week highs yesterday as it broke through. The longer oil stays above 100 just bodes well for the dividend, bodes well for BPT as a whole, and probably gets into the 20s in the coming week or two. Still have June 20 strikes. I may look for the July 25s. Don't look too bad on a risk reward basis, especially if there's some FOMO action on BPT, which I think will happen at some point. So I'll look to get possibly some July strikes there on BPT. I'm trying to think of some other things here. Yeah, so we get the Fed minutes at 2 o'clock today. The PCE, the consumption expenditures, what is it called? I forget what exactly it stands for, but that is the inflation number that the Fed looks at. That comes out on Friday. The concern, at least for me, is that you start thinking some of what's going on with the headlines, people fearing recession, rising gas prices at the pump, higher costs for shipping. I think UPS costs are up 30%. I think I saw that this morning. It's going to become one of these self-fulfilling prophecy situations where people are going to get home from work, watch the TV, say, wow, we should probably cut back on this, probably shouldn't be going to the store, probably shouldn't, do all these expenditures that normally they would, folks wouldn't mind doing, but now they're in a situation where maybe they're going to start cutting back. And then because of that, it's going to cause the recession. So interesting stuff. I hope that's not the case. I almost want to see Q2 GDP come out negative, and then we can start getting a recession out of the way, and then work our way back to a market that maybe is a little easy on the tradable side. But certainly something to watch. What else did I have on there on the watch list this morning? I think that was it. IBM, ULTA. Oh, ticker U. So disappointing. Great company, no debt, plenty of cash, doing a stock buyback, just getting destroyed for no other reason than that's what's happening to names in the tech space. At some point, I'll look to revisit you, but certainly a great story. If I do a back half of 2022 webinar at the end of June into July, you will definitely be on that. Who else we have here? I think that's it. I would love to try and get some of these biotech names. Zyme, they rejected the hostile bid from, I think it's called All Blue. I forget what the name of the fund that was looking to buy out Zyme at $10.50. You have H.C. Wainwright lowering their price target on Zyme to $40 and keeps a buy rating. The stock's at $5. Crazy. Yeah. Where's yeah. So they've ULTA within Target. They have ULTA within Target stores, right? So that's been going on for a while. I don't know how many locations, like 100 or so, but yeah, it's a big bet for Target. A lot of these big box retailers, they have a lot of space. It makes sense to have kind of these store within a store formats where you can get some of these specialty retailers that can come and pay you money to be inside a heavily trafficked store, and you both kind of reap the rewards of that, right? So you get money for having them in your store. Maybe you have extra traffic because people want to go there, and then the other retailer benefits because you're a heavily trafficked retailer like Target. So it's kind of like a mall concept, but you're as malls become a thing of the past. Just great concepts. Anyway, I think that's it. I'll try and get back on the audio if I have other things to talk about. Hopefully BPT and IBM can get going today. And then I might look for some speculative trades. Again, Snow, NVIDIA, SPLK report after the close. And that's it, folks. Let's have a great day. Rock and roll.